the tables seem to be turning regarding the new PR strategy to be anti-monarchist or anti-monarchy and pro-republic. On a global front. This is Royal Rota, and this article's come out, I think, within the last 24 hours, talking about official gifts not being declared. Now, there's been the PR obviously is completely controlled in the UK to go with what the palace want them to go with. So when this sort of stuff comes out alongside exactly the same timing as when King Charles is all of a sudden saying, "Don't mind me, Australia, if you want a republic," Australians aren't, as I've said before, we're not really Republicans. We just don't like to be lied to and deceived. And the majority of Australians don't know we've been deceived by the monarchy. So I know because I did the research, but many people just choose to ignore that, Australians, or they just have no idea. And they've usually got better shit to do. So that's very self-deprecating, but they usually have better shit to do, and they think of other things like, wars and stuff like that, and what's coming our way, to really give a shit about if we have a monarchy or not. But, we've been born into a monarchy. So we really don't feel, unless it's dire, necessary to have a republic. So for King Charles and all the PR to pick that up right on time is very, very, very questionable. Now, I had an account on social media that was supposedly by blood affiliated with the royal family say that, I think last year was it that Prince Andrew, who's still a working royal, never left, actually went and signed the contracts for all the countries to be made republic, including Australia. He went all over and did all the business deals. And when that was said, I was like, well, fuck, at that time, because of how strong the PR control was of protecting the monarchy, I mean, since yesterday or 2 days ago, it's been so protective of the monarchy. They've been a victim of everything, and everyone else has been the perpetrator, etc., etc. And so I was just like, yeah, okay, mate, whatever. Maybe that's in line for us by 2025, so next year. We'll all be made a republic. Maybe that's in line for us, but I don't see it right now. And yeah, okay, I don't know how this is going to be played out. And that's just going to be a waiting game and to see what happens. But as you can see, this is kind of unfolding now, that this PR narrative is changing. And with that, you're going to get the main Megxit accounts who pretend to be censored and demonetized, are now going to turn around and reveal more. That's my own premonition, my own thoughts, because there's no way that they for all these years, these accounts haven't said shit, really, haven't said shit in regards to the royal family's involvement in the creation of Nut and Todge and this whole narrative to move over the globalist and royal family to America. And as you can, if you put things all together, you've seen in the articles prior, within the last month, that they're saying the global ambassadorship of Prince William the heir and Prince Harry are now complete and successful. So now it seems like, okay, so now that that's successful and done, we're changing this PR strategy to turn on the king. This is what it seems like to me. This is how I'm interpreting it. It's obviously open for interpretation. I may be very, very wrong. But I also expect to see all the accounts now who are controlled because they haven't said the truth And they'll say in fear of censorship, in fear of demonetization. Why would that be an issue ever? If you're here, if your main goal is to tell the truth, then you make that choice. That's the choice I've made. But then you're going to get no credit for accounts like mine, who will still be controlled right until the very end and will be run into the ground, for saying the truth earlier on, or for them supporting what's already been said and exposed. So I want you to know that despite this narrative coming out now and the changes that are going to happen coming forward, that my account will be controlled to the very end, and the narrative will be controlled to the very end, because they're still controlling the fact that I have exposed that there's been treason in Australia committed by the monarchy. That's never going to come out in public. No one's ever going to talk about that. They're going to talk about something about the king being a weak, sick, feeble old man that can't take it anymore. Prince William will take his place, and I think he will be the last king. But because there's also new articles about George having, becoming a pizza maker or something. I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt, obviously. But it's just the whole, all of this happening at the same time, all these different messages. It's kind of like, I'll just plant this here for you to kind of consider. And it's very teasing, it's very manipulative. So, with the titles and so forth, So, yeah, that's how I see things panning out. Now, the reason why as well, so I want you to just bear that in mind. That is what seems to be, that dickhead Doria, what she said, what was it? Coming down the pipeline. That's what seems to be coming down the pipeline. Some bullshit like that. So, yeah, just keep your wits about you, but know that everything around you is controlled. Mainstream media, YouTube accounts, etc., if they haven't told you the truth already. Okay? Because there's no other reason as to why they wouldn't have. And it will be, from now on, even if there's so-called truth coming out, it's very, very controlled. As I said, Australia doesn't really want a republic. So why would you be putting those words out in mainstream media? That would actually cause more riots. The fact that a king is saying that, being so passive and saying, oh yeah, take it if you want it. Take it. I don't mind. I won't stand in the way. What the fuck? Really? Yeah, it's weird. It's really, really weird. That's my 2 cents. The reason why I wanted to do a video today is because something very interesting. I've kind of now made some connections because of this one article that's come out. So down this royal family declare gifts and stuff. So you know how there's this whole where's the proof that Todge is a working royal? Where's the proof that the royal family's lied to us? Laura, give me proof. And if you don't have the proof, then you're completely wrong and you're a conspiracy fuckhead, okay? You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about, Laura. You don't know the laws. That's usually the buffers that people have. And so, although I get you need full proof, it's been very covert. So they're not going to literally just come out and tell you, oh yeah, no, Todge is a working royal and it always has been. But I think I haven't made the connection so far as to the roles of a senior royal and what legitimizes, what actually makes a senior royal. So the fact that Todge is now 6th in line, but is an adult over 21 in direct line of succession, makes him a working royal. So by birth and by merit, at this point, when all the children are not even also, when you think about it, the fifth and sixth in line, he's still in the top four, he would be, because children don't account for being a senior royal with great importance until they're over 21. So that's been hidden from you. So despite not stepping back as a working royal by wording only, Todge is still a senior royal, and legally, I think by the Regency Act, I think is it 1937, or I'll get to that. By law, senior royals only take up councillors of state. Councillors of state, you have to live nearby, obviously, for emergencies, for the king or queen failing their health and having to replace them on tours. So Todd wouldn't be able to be living in America. So I do not think at all he ever lived in America. And you already know this is a sham wedding, a sham marriage, a sham relationship, a sham family. All of it's fake. It's just to move over to being a globalist monarchy and ambassador once the king abdicates or gives the crown to his son, Prince William. So it's all been a transition phase, and that's why there's been this American story. But for him to be Counsellor of State and Senior Royal as a Counsellor of State, he has to be living in the UK. It's not because he has a residence there at Frogmore Cottage, okay? Yeah, that's the whole role. Anyway, let me go down. I've had my rant. Now, there's a guy called Graham you'll see him on social media. I'm sure you've seen it. I get it a lot because I don't know why, but Twitter thinks I'm a Republican or some probably just because I'm disagreeing with these narratives. But I get Not My King a lot, or the Republic campaign, which in UK, which is basically a campaign that's against that's against the king or against the monarchy in the UK. Sorry, don't mind me. I think it's here. Yep. Graham Smith, Chief Executive of Campaign Group Republic, which wants to replace the monarchy, Now, he says things that are quite important. He says Charles and senior royals, so Todge, and senior royals have access to government papers, can have secretive meetings with ministers and the Prime Minister, and they have leverage to pressure government to do favours for them and their friends. So we're not talking about just the UK government either. Okay, because then you'd be talking about having a foreign diplomat kind of status as well as a senior royal. You'd be talking about US government and UK government, and obviously they're in partnership for this whole transition to take place, and all of this bullshit to be convinced as truth and as real, okay, to take place. So the UK and the US government are aligned. And obviously with the Five Eyes Alliance, this is why I don't believe the Australian Prime Ministers and all that refuse to see the King. That is absolute bullshit. We are so loyal and to the King out of respect and courtesy. We would never do that without instruction or permission. They're still censoring in Australia my research. So they are completely loyal to the King and the Crown, and will always be, because we are ruled by the Crown and the British monarchy. So there's no way in hell. No one's rioted in Australia at the moment for being a republic. There's no riots. There's no upheaval. So for the Prime Ministers or any politicians to just all of a sudden not see the King is questionable. And then it comes out that the King just gladly, passively accepts if we want to be a republic. and he won't stand in the way of that. That, to me, is all staged and all a strategy. But what I'm saying here is Graham has let the cat out of the bag, in a sense, that and I haven't really kind of picked up on it, that as a senior royal, it's not because you're a working royal that you're a senior royal. It's by lineage, it's by succession. And that's why he's kept being a prince and kept being in line of succession, Todge. And he, as a senior royal alone, he has access to insider government information across governments, I'm sure. And hence why he's also partnered with Aspen, which is government backed in the US, which is CIA planted, as we all know, et cetera, et cetera. CIA? I think it's CIA, intelligence anyway. And he would have access to all intelligence papers as well, I'm assuming, based on this kind of access. So all you need to be is a senior royal. Now, this is interesting. This is what kind of made me draw some conclusions in my research. It was just a really light research this morning over coffee, of course. Alistair Bruce on Twitter said a while back, I'm guessing this was 2020, so when this all happened, interesting factor with the Duke of Sussex withdrawing as a senior royal. Oh, this was even 2020 was when Megxit supposedly happened. So this was before he was even Counsellor of State. Interesting factor with the Duke of Sussex withdrawing as a senior royal affects the Regency Act 1937. Under this, he is one of 4 councils of state that can prove vital in function of UK government. So this was even before, I mean, maybe I think he was already Counsellor of State at that point, and wasn't appointed thereafter, and it didn't necessarily change. But what he's saying is, as a senior royal affects the Regency Act 1937, under this, he is one of 4 councils of state that can prove vital in function of UK government. This might be a complicated issue to work through. ... So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting at. But when Alistair has put up this post, he's put up January the 9th. So this was just after these statements were put up of the palace of the royal family and of Todge and Nut. Okay, so I just want you to bear in mind that despite having their little own signatures and stuff, Todge and Nut have remained. In a video previously, in one of my videos, Nut has said that they have a team in the UK that they have as well. So they've always had a palace communications and palace team, despite whatever they've said they've become while living in America, but really not living in America. Because as I said, Todge would have to be very close to his father to be able to be Counsellor of State. That's the whole point. And I know that there will be an argument. What was it? That only working royals will be called upon as councillors of state or something like that. Whatever. You wouldn't need to change the laws. There's reasons as to why he was left. And for you to just change any law like that so quickly and so easily, I know another argument is it takes too long and it's too tedious of a process to remove him. Yeah, okay, sure. So anyway, this is a statement on the 8th of January 2020. Now, by Todge and Nut. I want to let you know, because they have a team and they still are connected to the palace, that they will need approval for any release, for any press release to do, well, actually at all, with everything. They are still known and still have all these affiliations, partnerships, opportunities because they are working royals, because they still are in line of succession. So, and still have the titles and all of that. So, the whole point of them, their existence and their fake importance, is because of the royal family. Everything would have to be approved. If not, the royal family themselves, the palace communications themselves, creating these communications under the false pretense of a team in America. Because I'm sure that would be the case. They would need full control over what is actually put out. Anyway, this is the initial Megxit agreement with the Queen at the time. We now plan to balance our time between the United Kingdom, North America, continuing to honour our duty to the Queen, the Commonwealth, and our patronages. They didn't remove their patronages initially, I think, at all, really. Everything else was just in play. But this is what I'm saying, is that the agreement was, nothing actually changed. Remember how I said that, I showed you in an article that the Queen actually agreed to them being part-time royals initially. That was in the PR. And then it all changed. That no, she didn't agree, and there was a huge uproar. I don't think that happened. And you can see in this statement that it was all agreed to, that they were still working royals, serving their duty and allegiance to the Queen and to the monarchy. And you can see then in the engagement interview that they were already coming up with the push for globalist policies on censorship. So this seems to be all a part of the strategy. This is not just like somebody was blindsided. This is all in agreement with each other. So they're still working for the Commonwealth, they're still working for the Queen, and they still have their patronages by the 8th of January, which is when Megxit occurred. This geographic balance will enable us to raise our son with an appreciation for the royal tradition. Yeah, so they didn't want privacy and a life separate from the firm that they hated so much, and the traditions that they hated so much, and the duties they hated so much, and the media they hated so much. They are still wanting to keep everything intact. And the fake move to Canada, which also never happened, was just to kind of make this a little more convincing, not so bold as to go straight to America to change policy. But this was all in play. Tradition into which he was born, while also providing our family with a space to focus on the next chapter, including policy change and treason and foreign interference. Okay, so as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Cambridge, and relevant parties. So there were no fights. There was no bullying and attacking. We look forward to sharing the full details of this exciting next step in due course as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Cambridge, and all relevant parties. Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to tell you here is obviously that all of it was bullshit. We all know that by now. But that he kept his patronages. He was a working royal. Stepping back, that wording as a working royal, but being accepted as a part-time royal, which is now full-time. There's no part-time. What's he doing in between? Is he writing a book? Another, oh, please don't. But is he doing anything else other than trying to change global policy under his royal status? No, having access as a senior royal to government and intelligence papers and secrets and information, like the White House January coup that he was trying to tell the Twitter executive. Come on, guys. This is not a military-grade operation led by Todge and not alone with all their money. So, see how this narrative is going to unfold in the very near future. They're probably trying to weaken any claims I have. They definitely know about my research because, there have been people that have written to the king, which was last year. So they've had plenty of time to strategize. But they've needed to strategize and for this to fall in line with their plans in 2025. Now I do believe that that's going to happen. I didn't believe this person because I didn't know who the hell they were. I was like, okay, whatever, mate. You could tell me that you're bloody, I don't know, King Charles's love child, and I still wouldn't believe you because, obviously you need DNA and you need all this stuff. So anyway, but this is an interesting play. But know that he has always been a senior royal by law, by what constitutes a senior royal, what defines a senior royal, which is being in direct line to succession as an adult. The top four being in line of succession, which he would be. And also being a working royal, because as you can see in this agreement, what was actually agreed to by January the 8th, 2020, when Brexit took place, when he went over to the UK to have these discussions at Sandringham, was it Sandringham Estate? And what they decided was the fact that they were keeping all the patronages, working for the Queen and working for the Commonwealth, which they've continued to do under globalist policy, foreign interference and treason. Thank you very much.